So welcome back to our 2026 Winter Virtual Club Development Series. I'm Jocelyn Poirier. I'm Manager of Rugby Development at Rugby Ontario. I use she, her pronouns. And before we begin tonight's session, just a quick reminder to keep your microphones muted as always while you're listening. Use the chat for questions and comments unless invited to otherwise by the speaker. And I think you'll see we'll get into some good discussions tonight. We do encourage you to leave your cameras on so we know who we're talking to, but as always, just note that this is being recorded to be shared as well. I'm coming to you from Gananoque, Ontario, traditional territory of the Wendat, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee peoples, land covered by the Crawford Purchase of 1783. The name Gananoque is itself of Indigenous origin, with many different interpretations, and the area, including the land and surrounding islands, has been home to or visited by Indigenous communities dating back tens of thousands of years, which is a number that I find to be incredibly eye-opening to read. Rugby Ontario's member clubs and all of you are situated on traditional Indigenous territories across the province and in some cases tonight, of course, across the country or globe. So I invite us all to reflect on our privilege to live, work, and play rugby on these lands that have been stewarded by Indigenous peoples for more generations than many of us can even conceptualize. So if you'd like to acknowledge the lands that you are joining from, please do so in the chat. Tonight we are once again continuing our club share and tell portion of the series. So the end of our session will feature a club stakeholder sharing about a unique initiative, lesson learned, or best practice within the club or role. The goal of the club share and tell section is to provide a platform for club sharing to help build our community and grow all of our clubs. So stay tuned after our main speaker to hear from Joe Bowley from the Fergus Highland Rugby Club. Now, before I introduce tonight's main speaker, I wanted to give a shout out to our Rugby Ontario Coach Development Committee, who have helped to brainstorm the coach sessions of this year's series and are continuing to work on initiatives developing our coaches and coaching standards across the province. So big thank you to that group. Mike Cron is our speaker tonight. Mike probably doesn't need much of an introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyways. So Mike is one of the most respected scrum and forwards coaches in international rugby, with an extraordinary coaching career spanning over 4 decades. Best known for his long-standing tenure with the New Zealand All Blacks, Cron served as scrum coach from 2004 to 2020, playing a pivotal role in 2 Rugby World Cup victories, 2011 and 2015. He is currently a coach consultant with Rugby Australia. Across 43 years in the game, Cron has built a legacy of developing world-class forwards, innovating set-piece strategy, and mentoring coaches at all levels. His sessions are known for blending practical insight, technical precision, and storytelling drawn from the highest levels of international competition. Now, despite an incredibly busy schedule, Mike responded quickly when we reached out and was eager to support and give back, contribute to our community of Canadian rugby and Ontario rugby. So a really big thank you to Mike. I think we're all very excited to learn from you tonight. I'll pass it over to you.
Great. Thanks very much, and welcome everyone. I actually do have if you got on early enough and Maris was talking, in 1988 I lived for a year in Victoria, Vancouver Island coaching, and very amateur days. My wife worked in a hotel, in a pub, and we lived off her tips, and I coached. So I have and I've kept in touch with a lot of good friends from Canada. So a big part of my life, particularly my coaching life. So it is delightful to be able to be asked to come and assist, hopefully, give you some form of information to walk away with after this meeting tonight. First off, I don't want to be a dictator or a lecturer, so I do have a presentation. It's more about reminding me about what the hell I'm talking about. So please, if you want to interact at any stage, just jump in, like with a chat or just jump over top of me. It's a safe environment. So I need you to get as much bang for your buck out of the next hour. Now, how I describe coaching now is we're storytellers. So if you think back, like when I was a young father, you take your kids, you put them to bed at night, and you read your wee son or daughter a wee story. Now, back in those days, the storybook we had was quite limited. there'd be a bit of coloured drawing and there'd be words at the bottom and you turn to the next page. That's how I liked how I was coached. It was a very limited book, if you like, storybook that the coach had to try and teach his players. The modern day book that we have, you open it and out jumps an elephant. You push a button and out come noises. There's all these other bells and whistles we have available to us now to tell our story. So, for this next hour, I'm going to try and cover a few things that might resonate with you about, oh, that's interesting. I might use that or adjust that so I can tell my story to my athlete for them to understand better. So I'll hop into this little presentation. And I'll move that. Okay, we're off and running. See that okay, Jocelyn? Okay. Every team I've coached, probably for the last 20 years, this is the very first clip I show them when I meet them. It's the early 1900s Tour de France, and they're about to climb the Pyrenees. My question to the athletes is, what are you seeing? And they come up with, oh, is it camaraderie? Is it teamwork? No, they're putting a fag in, they're putting a durry in their gob. They're having a smoke. My question is, why? Why would athletes in the Tour de France put a cigarette in their mouth before they're about to climb a big mountain? Have a stab, see what you come up with. Yell out. What do you reckon?
Expand their lungs.
Yeah. Why was that, Bryce? Who would have told them that?
They need to expand their lungs, expand their rib cage and muscles, all the linings, and take in more air.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Who would have told them that, Bryce?
No clue. Mike, sorry.
A so-called expert. A so-called expert told them that helps them. Expands your lungs, makes you breathe better when you climb a mountain. And we know that today is rubbish. Why I tell my athlete that is, I'm meant to be a so-called expert. So if I ask you to do something at training and you think that's a load of shit or you don't quite understand it, I would expect you in a polite manner to challenge me. Because if you do not, you're no better than putting a durry in your gob. You're no better than putting a cigarette in your mouth. So are we clear on that? So you make that an environment where it's safe to challenge a coach in a polite manner because I don't understand that coach. No problem. The next one's interesting. This is an old Coca-Cola ad. You can't read it, so I'll read the words here to you. Coca-Cola advert, right. How soon is too soon? Not soon enough. Laboratory tests over the last few years have proven that babies who start drinking soda during that early formative period have a much higher chance of gaining acceptance and fitting in during those awkward pre-teen and teen years. So do yourself a favour, do your child a favour, start them on a strict regime of sodas and other sugary carbonated beverages right now for a lifetime of guaranteed happiness. So, why would I show my athletes that?
I'll pop in probably because the science of nutrition is constantly changing. So, like back in the 50s, by the looks of this, the idea that children need to drink a lot of soda is healthy when in reality we know it's really not, or at least current science is telling us it's not.
Correct, Emmanuel. So, why I show my athletes that is because what I'm coaching you today, in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years' time, they could look back and all laugh at it and say that was rubbish. So, what I'm asking you to do today, do not just take on face value, is what I'm saying. So, are we all clear on that? And the players nod and off we go. So, right from the word go, with those two clips I show them, I'm trying to establish a safe learning environment. Safe, not just physical safety, because I always tell them I'll never get you to do something I wouldn't ask my son or daughter to do. So that's my physical safety barrier or my boundary. And it's psychological safety. So we all clear on that? You all happy on those two things? Great. Now, we need trust. Now, you hear all the time, we've got to trust each other. You've got to trust your defence. What does trust look like? Now, this clip I'm going to show you resonated with me because I was a detective, police detective here for 23 years in Christchurch, New Zealand. So this is an Asian police search warrant. Have a look at this. This is trust. They went one after the other up, snuck in to do your little drug warrant, And so you need a bit of trust. So what you'll get from me is I try and come up with analogies, pictures, stories, rather than words. Sure, you have a word. We need trust, team. You got to trust each other. Trust the defensive system. If you can come up with something that sort of, well, that's trust. What does it look like? Another is we always teach you've got to adjust and adapt, changing situations in the game, referees' interpretations, whatever. So what does adjust and adapt look like? So look at this. So they would certainly know the train schedule, wouldn't they? So that's adjusting, adapting to the surroundings, to what you've got. So you play into the wind first half. Next thing you're playing into the wind second half. So be it. This here is probably the biggest graph I show my players. Max Ringelmann's rope pulling experiment. Does anyone know about Max Ringelmann? Okay. There's a bit of science on it, so Google it. Early 1900s, he did a rope pulling experiment. One person could pull, I think it was 68 kilos of power. So one person, here's this graph here, one person, 100%. So that was Max. He thought, if you put 8 people on that rope, it should be 68 times 8. Makes sense. What they found was they could only pull 48% of that maximum, what they thought they could get. 68 times 8 equals, they only pulled 48%. My question to you, good people, is why?
It takes communication in order to synchronize efforts.
Yep. Good point. Next.
Comment in the chat says you can only pull as hard as the weakest link.
Yeah, good point. Next.
People didn't feel as responsible for the result in a group versus by themselves.
Outstanding. They're all correct, but that last one hits it on the head. It's called social loafing. So some of you are doing it here right now because it's human nature. I don't think it's a problem so long as you identify it. So when I talk to my athletes, I say, we know that the more people you put into the pot, the more chance there is of some of us having a wee rest, a wee cup of tea. Now, at normal rugby players, would that be a conscious or subconscious decision they make? And generally, it's subconscious. You don't intentionally say, "I'm not going to push in this maul. I'm not going to make that tackle." You don't think that. So it's a subconscious action as a rule. Now, if it's subconscious, and we know it happens to everyone, how do we prevent it? So for me, all I say to the players is that you can't control what your other teammates do, but you can have responsibility for yourself. So all you can do is say, it will not be me. So I'm a loose forward. I run 70 metres with the ball. I offload. There's a knock on. There's a scrum. You are our prime candidate to be a social loafer. So I think by addressing it and saying this is normal behaviour of a human being, just be careful that the little man will come and sit on your shoulder when you're not expecting it. And next thing, you're having a cup of tea when you should be making a tackle. So a really good graph I'd always use when I'm talking to any team, whether it be a high school team or a national team, nothing changes. Anything on that? Anything interesting on that? How I'll tell you how I actually I started in the All Blacks full time in 2004. I mucked around in 2000, 2001 with them. And then I went and coached Wales with Steve Hansen for the World Cup in 2003. Then I came back and was full-time All Blacks 2004 to 2020. So on my very first session in 2004, I got 18 forwards I put them all in a circle and I said to one of the boys, "Who's your favourite band, music band?" And they go, "Oh, so-and-so." Right. You've just seen them on stage. They're outstanding. They've gone off stage for the first time. What do you want to happen? He said, "Oh, I want them to come back." Yep, it's called an encore. How do you bring them back? Oh, you clap. So I said to this individual, "Bring him back on. You bring him back on. Start clapping." So he starts clapping. And then I went to, "You join in, you join in." Next thing I had 18 people clapping. And then I stopped. So I said to the original guy, "Show me with your hand space, how loud were you clapping when you were clapping by yourself?" And he went, "That much." Yep. When I stopped you with all 18 clapping, how loud were you clapping? Have a think about it. And he goes, "Oh, that much." Correct. Social loafing. So by doing a practical exercise, and then you can tell them science, and then you can address it. So I think it's a really big graph, the Max Ringelmann rope pulling experiment. Happy on that? Right, we coach in different manners, and this I found outside my window in the World Cup 2019 in Japan. My wife and I went for a cup of coffee, and I saw this. I thought, Jesus, I've got to photograph that because it reminds me I've got to tell the boys something tomorrow. We had a World Cup quarter final against Ireland coming up, and this is Monday morning, and I went to have a coffee and I saw this sculpture. My question to my athletes the next morning, which is a question to you now, what do you think I had to remind them? Just so you know, I also ran the line out, the maul, the breakdown, the kickoff, and the scrum for the All Blacks. We had an attack coach, a defence coach, and I ran the rest. So out of all that, why would I want to show them this as a reminder? Have a stab.
How close you wanted support to be?
Yep, that's a great question. A great answer. Yep,
I'm
not.
not
Yep.
sure. Like it's like, don't be afraid what others think. Do whatever it takes.
I
I don't
love that attitude. I love that. I love that, Bryce. Yeah,
We've got a few more
I
in the
love that.
chat as well. Great body position, connection, focus on the person on either side of you.
Wonderful. All those are great. So I said to the boys, they stumbled a bit for a while and eventually they got it. and they said, just a reminder to keep our maul long. I said, you don't have to have your head up each other's ass like this, this here. You can have it out to the side. I'll let you do that. So that was Monday. On the Saturday, we play Ireland in the quarter-final at the World Cup. And then the following Monday, we have a review. So this happened in the game, believe it or not. So I'll show you.
Own man for me. Ayun. Get up. Sit.
There it is. There it is. So now, that could be an absolute load of crock. But all I'm saying is, I saw something out in the street. Jesus, I must remind the boys that. So instead of giving them a word, we got to keep our maul on. That's easy. You saw something, thought, I'll show them that. They had to think about it. They had to try and come up with the answer like you good people did. What am I trying to educate you on? What am I trying to remind you of? So I think you get deeper knowledge, deeper understanding. And then all of a sudden, come the following Monday, you can go, there it is. Now, that could be a load of rubbish. But what you've done is you've cemented for the next game and trainings, etc. We got to keep our maul on. So again, a storyteller. I'm only trying to tell you that we got to keep our maul on. My challenge to every coach is, how do we get our story across? And this is just another way of doing it. You happy on that? Righto. Now this is our biggest enemy. It was for a number of years for me, the clock. I always wanted more time. I don't have enough time to do what I want to do. And I remember at international level, you don't get much time. We are actually on grass 8% of the week at international level. We're on grass the same amount of time as most club sides, twice a week, after warm-up, 2 90-minute sessions. Sure, we have them in the hotel, we can have more meetings, we can do walkthroughs in a conference room. I accept that. You can do one-on-ones, you can do all that. So I accept that. But we're only on grass the same amount of time. So we're under the pump the same amount, worrying about the clock. My question is, how can we change that perception that we don't have enough time? I remember going to a head coach in the All Blacks. I said, look, I just don't have enough time. I'm doing the maul, the line out, the scrum, separate, and I need more time. His answer, you're not going to get any, so use your time better. So off I went, and I worked out how to use my time better. What do you reckon? Have a stab. Have a go.
Focus on one thing, the most important thing you want to cover that session, and let the other stuff go.
Yeah. Well, if you get through that, the important ones, then you got time for the other stuff. I think that's great. You know how we get our bit of paper and we write down there, number 1, such and such, 2 minutes, number 2, 3 minutes, number 4, and it adds up to 25 minutes. And I'd go along there and I'd be going, righto, they got 2 minutes for this drill. And that was my first mistake. I called it a drill. It's an activity. It's a skill activity, not a drill. I'm not in the army. So at 2 minutes, I blow the whistle, we move on to the next set of cones. And we move on and we move on. And then, Jesus, that's not working out good, but I haven't got time. I got to move on because I'm on to number 4. Then I'm on to number 5 and I finish number 6. And that's it. It's the end of our 25 minutes and I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because I know I haven't coached very well. I know they haven't learnt very much. And I know I needed more time to do what I wanted to do correctly. But once you know you're not going to get more time, the way that previous gentleman explained is correct. So I get my little bit of paper. The first one for me is always primer drill. So skill activities to get you ready to do the real activity. So that's not negotiable. That will never be taken away. Maybe 4 minutes or 3 minutes. Then I bang in I circle the two things I must nail at all costs. The players, men and women, whoever I'm coaching, they need to nail that. Once they've nailed that, I then move on to the next one, the next one. Now, if I don't get through my 6, it doesn't matter. I'm under no pressure of the clock to get through my 6. It's a nice to have. If I don't, I'll catch up with it next training. So what I've done probably for the last 5, 6 years of my coaching, because I'm still coaching probably every second day, I tell a trainer, can you tell me when I've got 2 minutes left of my time? So the other day I had 36 players. I was in Australia coaching, and I had an hour-long session with them. And I said to the trainer, tell me when I got 2 minutes left. And I challenged myself never to look at my watch in that whole time, and I didn't. It has no relevance because I'm coaching. Coaching is observation. And I was getting sidetracked all the time by seeing the clock. How much time have I got? Move on, blow a whistle. Players feel that. By saying, righto, here's a new activity. This is the skill within the drill. Where you go, have a play. I use the term play a lot. Go and have a play with it. You all happy? Right, we'll move on. Now, they may have achieved that in the time period that you had written down. They could have even been quicker. But by not putting a time restriction on it, you coach. Players feel that. So for me, it took me a long, long time. I wish I'd known this when I was a young coach. Geez, I do. So now I just coach. They ask me to wear an earpiece quite often. I refuse to wear an earpiece when I'm coaching. When we're out there and the team's training and everything, and we've all got earpieces in and we're talking, no problem. But when I'm actually got a forward pack in front of me and I'm coaching, I take it out. Why would I take it out?
So your entire focus is on your athletes and doing what you're meant to be doing, which is coaching?
Correct, 100%. Because I'm coaching, I'm observing, I want to listen. You get a lot of gold out of the little conversations. And then you get some prick in your ear yelling, can I have some more yellow cones down the far end, please? Oh, for Christ's sake. So it comes out. That's just me. I'm not saying you do it. I'm just saying for me. If I'm going to give my total concentration and I'm going to coach, I do not want to be sidetracked with the watch. I don't want to be sidetracked with someone talking in my ear. So that's what I do. You work out how you deal with it, but the clock is the enemy sometimes. I'm challenging you to make it not the enemy. How can I work with it? Because it's not going to change on you. You're not going to get more time quite often. It's quite a big subject, that. So is there any questions at all on that? Because every coach I've spoken to, this is an issue.
Mike, can I ask a question?
Hey, Ken.
How's it going?
Good, mate. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. The one thing that resonates with me is the observation. Before, because I've had the privilege to see you before. Mike, at Australia, the head coach. Can you expand more on the observation? Because you were talking about that with Mike Schmidt, I think, about and I always use that if you're looking at your watch, you're not coaching, right? That's where I get it from. Thank you.
That's good, Ken. But how do you know you can't go over time? So how do you know your time? So
people yell at you.
Yeah. You give someone responsible and say, tell me when I got 2 minutes or 5 minutes left, please. So you know I've got my safety net. I can coach. I tell you what, you coach differently. I'm telling you, I do. I coach differently when I'm not under the clock, when I'm coaching and I'm seeing and I'm observing and I'm listening and we're all together and we're all learning. And remember, learning is motivation. Motivation is enjoyment. Now that goes not just for the athletes, it goes for us as well. Learning is motivation. Motivation is enjoyment. So when your athletes are learning, they're motivated. If they're motivated, they're having a bit of fun, they're enjoying it. So how this came about was many years ago, an All Black came to me in my room after training and he said, I'm sick and tired of you pricks. He's meaning us coaches. I said, yeah. Why's that? What have we done? 2 minutes here, 3 minutes there, 4 minutes there, 1 minute then. When are you guys going to coach us? Pretty good question, wasn't it? There's two ways to look at it. One was, isn't it great that it was a safe environment for him to come and challenge me? That's great. The second thing was, you are 100% correct. We're not coaching. We're drill masters. We're in the army drill mastering you. So we've got to cut that out. So how do we cut it out? So this is, again, safe environment, player giving you honest feedback, you having big ears to listen, take it on board. That's a good point. We'll adjust. So we did adjust. Well, I adjusted anyway. Happy on that? Okay. We all got 100 quotes, but this is the only one I keep now. Benjamin Franklin. Tell me I forget. Teach me I may remember. Involve me and I learn. Now, that's how I coach. If you had to say, how do you coach? The bottom one is how I coach. It's a collaboration between player and coach. Back in my day when I was a player, I started playing in 1958 when I was 4. So it's a long time ago. So when I was playing all the way through the grades, the gap, if you like, between the coach and the player was quite a big gap. The coach dictated, blew his whistle, you listened, you obeyed. Over the years, that gap's got narrower, and I think at times it's the other way now, and I encourage that. The way I do that is I get some of my leaders to, would you be okay to take this skill activity, please? Sure, Chrono. So I stand back and let my leader lead and let the players listen to their leader. So instead of being coach-player, it's player-coach. So things have changed. So that quote to me is just how I coach. And I think it's huge. If you want growth in your team, this is the biggest way to get it. Happy on that? This is me 3 weeks ago. I was coaching in Sydney here. I've got 36 Type 5 players from all around Australia. I had them for a 3-day camp. So this is how I coach. I asked for a marquee, a tent, whatever you call it. I want some form of visual feedback to give to my athletes. Now, I don't care if it's an iPad, iPhone, whatever. In this situation, they brought in a TV, which I've got, which is great. Sure, we got bells and whistles. You can see the drone batteries there, the white things. There was a drone going, but I just wanted iPads, come back, plug it into the TV, let's look and learn. Now you can see just from that photograph the attention and the involvement of the athlete. I'm just showing, we've only done a little activity. We come back and have a look at it. We discuss, we sort, we go back out, we do a wee bit more, we come back again. So this is a camp. So you're not getting ready for a game on Saturday. So I accept that this would be difficult to do in a normal week. But for me, I would always have the ability to show my athlete something on the training field. You may not use it, but I'd always have the ability. It might be iPads, it might be iPhones, it might be proper cameras. And then you want to plug it back into a computer or plug it into a screen. So for me, if I had one thing to say, what was the biggest tool in my coaching career? I started in 1983 and still coaching. What is the one biggest tool you got to help you to become a coach visual feedback. Without a doubt, visual feedback. Too many coaches, I believe, they video training and then they have a look at it after training, and then 2 days later they grab a couple of athletes and show them something they did 2 days ago. For me, if you have the ability to show them out in the training field something, it's gold, it's 5-star. So an example would be, we're doing maul defence. So for me, I'd do 2, then we have a look at it. If there's something to sort out, let's do that again. Let's go, we do 1 more, come back, check it. Yeah, that's nailed. Well done. Swap over, other boys have a go, or girls. Do 2, come and have a look at it. 1 more to tidy up. So you got 6 maul defences in your time block. My challenge to coaches who say to me, I haven't got time for that stuff, is if you didn't stop and show stuff, how many maul defences could you've got in that time? 8, 9, maybe? Yep. So how do you know, and how do the player know, which is more important, that what they were doing was correct? Is it based solely off the opposition didn't score a try, we must have defended well? My challenge then is, can you do it again on Saturday? Do you know what you did that would allow you to defend on Saturday? The answer is no. We barred up. I love that attitude, but let's bar up with a bit of knowledge. So for me, I'd rather do 6, where we are learning, developing, we're getting in-depth knowledge that we can repeat on Saturday in the heat of a battle, rather than rushing through 9, not suring what you did, must have been okay, there's no try score. This is a huge part. It's worth having a wee discussion about, I reckon. Come at me with what you think.
Hey, Mike, it's Bryce. So building on that, is this kind of a manifestation of the post-game analysis? Because I think post-game analysis, get the team to sit down, is pretty important. I coach the little kids, but even then, we still do a post-game analysis. Would this kind of build upon that?
Yeah, it's like a hot flush, isn't it? You know, like how do we go? Even with little kids, I go and watch my grandkids play. You know,
Yeah.
they always, you know, and the coach gets them in, and they, you know, how we go, what went well, you know, da da da. It's hot. It's hot. Kids will forget once they've had their bloody ice block or whatever it is. They'll forget. They get it while it's hot. You know?
Give them more credit. They remember.
and don't underestimate them. You know what I mean? They'll know what went well. How'd we go on our tackling today? You know, get the information. You know, so for me, this is my. I get ridiculed, and I've been ridiculed all my life the way I coach. You know, all bells and whistles and full of shit and full of this and full of that. And I've had that ever since I've been a young coach, because I coach differently, and I don't apologise for coaching differently. I coach to get the best information from an athlete so he can retain that and then use it in the heat of a battle. That's my job. And for me, this is the best way of coaching. You could be a guy off the street who doesn't know much about the game. If you videoed it and said, come and have a look on here and tell me what you're seeing, the players would tell you 80% of it, 90% of it. What we've got to do is give them an avenue.
Yes.
Where they can show their knowledge. Now,
and a safe space. Yeah.
Yeah. And with kids, I tell you something kids love. They love seeing themselves.
Yeah.
I was down doing a session. I got rung up, and I had to go and do an under 12 session for a breakdown. Well, that'll be bloody interesting, you know. And in the end, I had some parents there with little iPhones. Go and do your little activity, come around, have a look at you on the iPhones. And next thing, they love looking at themselves. Imagine the learning and education they're getting, and fun they're getting from that, rather than just we've got 10 minutes of this drill, off you go. I mean, how bloody boring is that? You know.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
this was, as I said, this was me a couple of weeks ago. It sums up just how I coach.
Very good. Thank you, Mike.
Anyone else got anything to put in on that? I know some of you be thinking, yeah, there's drones, there's cameras, there's tents, there's TVs. I haven't got all that. I accept that. But someone will have a little, if it's not blowing, big wind, someone will have a little thing that you sit under a barbecue and have a few beers. Some will have one of those. Some will have a table. Some will have a computer. And then some will have an iPad. And then you just need a connection to plug the iPad into the computer, and then you sit around it. And the only reason you have the tent is so you can see the thing from the sun. You know, that's all. You might have a few with umbrellas. I don't care. Don't put it as a stumbling block. If it's important, you'll find a way.
Mike,
Happy?
Mike, one question for you.
Yeah.
You're basically talking about quality over quantity. I remember some of your scrum sessions before where you only hit like 3 times on offense and 3 times on defense, and you tell them to bugger off. You're doing the quality over the quantity, right? You're just sharpening their skills, pretty much.
Yeah. I remember I did a team, an international team, a wee while ago, and I'd had them for 2 days doing stuff. And they said, when are we going to do some 8 on 8s? I said, when you're good enough, we'll start doing 8 on 8s, when everyone's good enough. And this was an international team. And they go, what do you mean? I said, well, technically we're not all quite there yet. We're just, we're cooking a cake here. We're baking a cake, and we're putting it in, and eventually, and after about 3 or 4 sessions, right, we're ready. Now we can put it together, and the cake came out good. Too many of us, you got learning or coaching blocks, 1 to 6, say. So I'm doing a line out. Box 1 is the first day you've got your little first 15 rugby team. Box 2 is, you expand it, and 3 and 6 is the real line out. It's a great question when you ask coaches. It's the first time you've got a team and you're going to do a line out session. What is in box 1? What do you reckon? So it's a line out session.
A comment in the chat here. Box 1, recognizing the play and getting into position.
Yeah. Next.
Learning how to set up a line out, how many in the line out.
Yeah. That's structure and system. Next.
Another comment, deciding on the play, jump, move.
Yep.
Understanding your job.
Role clarity. Yep. Next.
Execute and take advantage.
Okay.
I mean,
everyone's right. For me, jumping skill, lifting skill, throwing skill. Full stop. There be no mention of system, structure, options, calling, nothing. It's day 1. So, what are the key components to a line out? Jump, lift, throw. So I'm going to educate you. So I draw 6 little boxes on a bit of paper. Box 1, out the side, I'll write the drills or skills I'm going to give them. Box 2 would be, for me, pod lifting with a ball, pod lifting with movement, maybe pod lifting with opposition. What's in box 3? Maybe, a 4-man, a 5-man, 6-man, 7-man, options, sure, and what's the next one? And we'll go through to box 6 will be a proper line out with opposition under fatigue. Where we get in trouble, us coaches, we muck around on box 1 and then we jump to box 4 or 5. And then 2 weeks later, we're talking to a mate and we say, those useless, those guys, I've been coaching them for 2 weeks and they still can't do da-da-da. I'd always question them and say, what'd you do on day 1? Did you give them learning time to learn how to jump correctly? Did you give them time to learn how to lift correctly, how to throw correctly? Then did you build up your building blocks? So whenever I did a line out internationally, say with the All Blacks, I always started on box 1. And I went through box 1, 2, and 3. It took about 3 minutes, and that's all your primer drills. Then we come together, and then we get into the line out session, and eventually we'll get. So I knew which box I'm coaching in. Really important, I think, to know that if you're in a session and think, Jesus, something's gone wrong here. What box am I coaching in? Oh, Jesus, I've jumped 3 boxes here. So it's not a bad reminder for yourself about what box am I coaching in. Happy on that? I found, I don't know why, but I've found going to coaching clinics for rugby quite bland. They never spun the wheels at all. I just walked away with a big folder of paper, and I had one new drill. Really, I know I'm generalising. I might have been because I wasn't connected well enough. I don't know, but I found it quite intriguing going to all other sports. And here's one. This is Tom Walsh. He's in the top 3 in the world. He's a Kiwi. Shot put. So I went down to watch him train. He's an ex-prop himself in his day. So I asked him, obviously for balance. Yes. This is before he goes and shot puts, right? Obviously for balance, yes. He said, but also because the nature of the shot put, one side of my body feels a wee bit stronger than the other. And I want to balance things up a wee bit and make sure that both operating and functioning the same. Now, I found that fascinating. Now, in most sport, balance is king. In rugby, I certainly believe that. Balance. So, you get a player rush up on defence, the attacker steps one way, your player plants, lunges, throws an arm out in the head. The reason they do that, you keep saying you got to adjust your feet, you got to do this. Yeah, yep, you do. Martial arts, where you can learn a lot of martial arts, they understand their centre line. They understand that when they move, their centre line comes with them. They stay balanced at all times. A lot of our rugby guys, we're centred if we're hitting a tackle bag. As soon as we have to go up and move, we move, but our centre line stays where we were originally. That's what makes us unbalanced. So, if balance is king, which I believe it is, that's a word, how can we help them? So from this is called a slack line, or if you've got a truck, it's just a strop and a ratchet. So I went and bought one, and we use it in the All Blacks. So every training on a Tuesday in the gym, we'd tie it between 2 apparatus, and all the forwards would come over and they'd do their little bit, go back and do their weights, and or we'd tie it between the goalposts. So they keep working on their balance, because balance is king. So coming up with different ways of learning off other sports, for me, has been one of the biggest learnings I've ever had in my life. Thoughts on that? Has anyone else learnt stuff off other sports or not?
Someone in the chat said from judo.
Yeah.
And then the
Martial arts. Yeah, martial arts is great. I was lucky enough, if you're judo, I went and spent a week with Mr. Yamashita. 204 international bouts, no defeats. World champion judo, and he's now a coach in Japan. I spent a week in him just watching, learning. He had 130 athletes every day. I go down and watch him. I went into a sumo wrestling camp for a week watching over in Japan. I've been to New York Giants, Knicks, Yankees, Pittsburgh Penguins, Tampa. I've been to basketball. I've been everywhere. And here I'm learning off slacklining. I'll show you something else. I got a good mate of mine, Mike Lane, who lives in Pittsburgh, and he sends me sports stuff. Now, this goes back a number of years. This goes back probably 16 years. He sent me this. It was a 40-minute documentary about a famous German basketball coach who coached Dirk Nowitzki. And they wanted to know, he had developed a lot of great basketballers. What was his secret? So out of that 40-minute documentary, I've reduced it to 90 seconds. So have a listen, have a look, see what you think.
Angewandten Unfugs ist das rhythmische Dribbeln zu Musik, was ich als nächstes von Bonnie erklärt bekam.
They will try to dance or follow the melody, but dribbling the ball. So associate music and basketball, respecting the basics rule of basketball, not traveling and not carrying the ball.
Jocelyn, you can hear that okay? Okay.
Yeah, ready?
Oh, we're not getting all the music now, though.
Sorry?
Not getting the music now, or at least I'm not hearing it.
Wonder why.
Also man kann ja im Prinzip alles, wenn man will, in einen festen Rhythmus und in eine Periode oder in ein periodisches Verfahren umleiten und im Endeffekt hat man Takt, ob man will oder nicht.
Can you hear that beat of the ball? Oh, that's a shame. Okay. Well, he brought in that guitar, and the boys are bouncing the ball to the beat of the guitar, yeah? So I'll carry on.
Definitely shown me how connected a lot of things are. It's kind of like dancing while playing basketball.
Nach konventionellem Basketballverständnis könnte man behaupten, dass rhythmische Dribbelübungen mit Gitarrenbegleitung schon etwas außergewöhnlich waren. Doch als dann auch noch eine Opernsängerin auftauchte und zu singen begann, wurde mir klar, dass Holger Geschwindners Basketballcamp wirklich etwas ganz Besonderes ist.
So now they brought in an opera singer to work with the guitarist to help the athletes get their bang for their timing. Could you hear the opera singer at all, Jocelyn?
I'm not getting, I can hear their voices, but not the music in the background, unfortunately.
Okay, right.
Question in the chat, though, just is the point more around the rhythm and moving together?
Correct, to a beat.
Yeah.
To a beat.
Which we can see, basically, just can't necessarily hear what they're playing to.
So from that, I found that fascinating, that you could bring in music to like a guitar player, then an opera singer, to teach young athletes, these are high school kids, at a camp, basketball camp, how to get the beat. Because the coach said, we all have a beat whether you like it or not. And I found that statement fascinating. But I didn't know how the hell it relates to rugby. And it probably took me 3 months to work it out. And see how you go here. So, Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water. We all know those first three beats. Down, down, down. That's Smoke on the Water. So,
Mike, we had a comment in the chat about peripheral vision. Can you share your story about your netball experience and working with that team as well?
Yeah, we'll do that. Sure. So from this here, what I decided was, how can I bring a beat into coaching? So those three beats of Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water, down, down, down. So what I did was I went out to the scrum machine and got the analyst to put up speakers on the machine. And when we whacked the machine, those three notes would blast out. So the boys would load. That means that after you hit in a scrum, you want isometric pressure. They call it loading, where you can't go forward because you get free kicked, but you can load. It's like an arm wrestle. How do you coach that? So I don't want to go I want to go down, down, down. So we use those three notes to bring to the front of the brain loading. So we did that on a machine, then we did it live, and then we said, do we keep it? Do we delete it? Players said, no, we keep it. So for 2 years, whenever they go to put their scrum boots on, the analyst would just push a button on a big speaker, and those three notes would scroll over and over. And that's all I did. So you bring it to the front of the brain. So you cut something, there's music involved. How can I change? How can I bring that into my sport? Any questions on that? Now, it could be a load of rubbish. I'm open to that. But all I do know is that we loaded better.
Lots of great cross-sport comments in the chat here as well, Mike. Mountain biking, promoting balance, anaerobic power, adapting to changing topography, developing peripheral vision. Wrestlers excelling at rugby, knowing how to take an opponent to ground safely. Ballet background, musical instruments, understanding independent limb movement. Basketball references all the time when coaching rugby.
Yep.
Lots of great stuff in there.
So I went in and spent a week in cage fighters over in the Gold Coast in Australia. I learned a lot off them because a lot of them had played rugby. So I asked them, you're on the ground, the guy's lying on top of you, and you got to get up to get back into the game in rugby. In your sport, which is jiu-jitsu, how would you get up? So they demonstrate and I video and then I bring it back, show my athletes. How would you sack in a line out? Oh, this way, bang. So I video it, that's bloody good, show my athletes. Then I came back and I spent a week with the New Zealand ballet the following week. They get a lot of turf toe, under the big toe. They get issues there because they jump and land a lot. So do rugby players on hard surfaces. My question to them was, how do you prevent it? And the answer was, we don't get much of it now because we really make sure that when you jump and land, you're pushing off your second toe, not your big toe. Spreads the weight. Oh, Jesus, that's magnificent. What else? I noticed that when you lift, the lady above your head, it was Mikado, you make that look so effortlessly. How do you do that? Oh, you fill your stomach up with air and you push your stomach out and down and lock your spine. I go, like a power lifter. Correct. So you take that information back. So when you're lifting the line out, or you're doing single back lifting, let's do that. So peripheral vision was mentioned. I learnt that off netball. You may not know netball. It's like a basketball game, but you can't run with the ball. And my question to the coach was, I'm looking at a defender here, but I got to look at the ball coming down court. How can you see both? Because that's like a line out. I got to look at my opponent and I got to see the hooker. And the coach said, it's simple. You look in the middle dot. You're looking at the athlete, you're looking at the hooker throwing the ball in, or the ball coming down the court for netball, the middle dot. And you can see, peripheral vision, how that works. And I'll show you a skill drill that I do with it shortly. So all I'm saying to you is there is a lot of information out there on different sports. Don't go in thinking, I want to know about this so much. Just go in and just soak it in. You may not see it that day. That one about the music one took me 3 months. Happy there? Okay to move on, Jocelyn?
Yep.
So I was asked about the key learnings, and I've put it into this slot here. I've mentioned develop a safe learning environment. The best coach is the person you're doing the activity with. Now, if you can drive that with your team, you get really explosive learning, quick learning right across the board. So they can't do this like peer coaching until they know the skill within the drill. An example, I hold a hit pad. Sheldon, you're told to come in and hit me, punch wrap and drive me back and do that 5 times. Then I give you the hit pad. But every team in your competition is doing that same drill at the same time. My question is, what makes us do it the best? The answer will be, you've been taught the skill within the drill. The skill within that drill will be identify target, dip late, punch wrap, bite, brace, front leg drive, horizontal plane, catch your feet up. They're all the skills within that drill. So if I'm holding a hit pad and Sheldon comes in and hits me, I'd go, good front leg drive. He goes back, comes in, hits me again, I go, oh, your arms are bang, bang. Oh. So what I'm doing to Sheldon is, and what we're doing to each other, because it's his turn to hold the pad, would be, we're not allowing mediocrity. We're not doing a drill. The best coach is the person you're doing an activity with. Start, middle, end. We learn, you watch a movie, you remember the start and the end of a movie more than you do the middle. So how do we get the end part right where they're getting learning? For me, I form a wee huddle, the last 30 seconds of my time. I say, righto, we've just done a line-out session. There's a big pot, a learning pot in the middle of here. I've lifted the lid off. Let's fill the pot with what we've learnt today, any skill drill, any activity we've done. And they start filling the pot. Then the lid goes on and we're off to the next activity, whatever it may be. We're off to scrums or rucks or whatever we're going to do. After every little component, I have a little 30-second fill the pot. So I then know how much learning they've got. I rate myself out of 10 how well I coached it. I rate out of 10 how much they learned immediately. Avoid players training bad technique. I've covered that. Don't allow mediocrity. Don't be scared of silence. You saw me do that today when I asked you a question. I'm quite comfortable to sit there and wait. When I was young, I wasn't. I'd jump in and answer it because I was scared of silence. I've already mentioned about 5-star, 3-star, 1-star. 5-star, having the ability to show something on the training field there. 3-star, after training, come and see me. I want to show you a bit of footage. 1-star, come and see me tomorrow. If we can get 5 stars, great. Brutal honesty, deal with inconvenient facts like, that clean out is not quite right. Don't, and I'm going to help you and show you. Don't just let it go, let's just be honest with them. They deserve honesty, your players. I've done that, rate yourself out of 10. Learning from other sports, I've covered that. And culture is a foundation of a team, safe learning environment, and it's a growth environment. That's what you want. So that's, in a nutshell, the key learnings. Now, just to finish, I'll go to that clip of that peripheral vision for that coach. Maybe? No, I haven't got it with me, sorry. But I'll show you how you make your line out faster. This is a beer crate because this is the Blackfoots before we won the World Cup in 2022. And we didn't have any equipment with us at this camp, so I grabbed a beer crate. This is how you get your jumpers to jump fast. Bang. Whereas this girl jumps slow. That's too slow. Go back, do it again. Better, still not quick enough. Go back. Hip, hip. So, a beer crate. So we do not need all the bells and whistles, but what I'm educating them is, like a line out is, the 3 key components for a line out is jump fast, not high, jump first, lift second, last third of the lift, most explosive. So how do you do that? Just a simple drill like that. Now, I'll just get out of there. What I've done is I've added on to this PowerPoint your big rocks for line out and your big rocks for scrum. Now, we don't have enough time to cover that because my time's up. But it will be, Jocelyn's got and Sheldon have got my PowerPoint. So when it goes out to you good people, Jocelyn, you can attach that, can you?
Yep. Yeah, we'll add it into the virtual platform, so you'll all have access to it.
So those things I mentioned about the line out, there's a little skill to go with those comments and you'll see proper activity. And I've tried to use people who are either high school or women that I've coached, or I've limited the international stuff. I've kept it, where most of us coach. Happy on that. Now, that's my 70 minutes that I've got. So if you can, I don't care if you yell it out or send it through to Jocelyn. Just give me one thing that you picked up that you think's bloody good. That's good. I'll use that.
For me, it was the rope pulling experiment.
Yeah. Max Ringelman. Wonderful. Thank you. Next.
The storytelling, I think, really resonates with me.
Yeah. That's all we are. We're coaches, but we tell stories about how to get your player to remember and to learn. Yeah, next.
I thought it was really important to identify the fundamentals and when to apply it, understanding the intention of using that fundamental, either in the team aspect, on the field positioning that you use. Going back to basics is going to be important.
Oh, Alex, unbelievable. Be intentional. If you're going to come to training and put your boots on, whether you're 10 years of age or you're international, let's just be intentional what we're going to do. Let's just focus in here and let's be intentional. And all I'm trying to do to you, when I coach you, whatever I'm going to coach you, we're going to try and be the best in the world at our age group at that. If we're 12 years of age or we're international, we're going to be the best in the world. Let's just get out there and let's just go. Great. Next.
Bringing in odd stuff just to shake things up and get their minds following a different track to remind them to recruit their bodies in different ways.
Great. Our job is to just get you to use your body better than you could previously, and hopefully better than the guy down the road or the girl down the road. And if we can use our body better, we can do more with it. So again, jiu-jitsu, judo, gymnastics, trampolining, anything like this will educate and you'll get knowledge from. Next.
Hey, Mike, as something of a mediocre musician myself, I was totally fascinated by your use of music, plus that coach from Germany. I've long been interested in the connection between music and the brain. It sounds like you and this coach from Germany are on the cusp of a new area of human inquiry, if you will. And I think it's pretty exciting. I'm just wondering if you've thought about hooking up with a neuroscientist from one of the universities in NZ.
I know how things are going to go, and I love that. But where things are going to go to is VR, virtual reality. There's going to be a bit more of that coming in soon when you put your glasses on, and because only 8% of the time you're on grass, how can we still coach our athletes? We can be in a basketball court and all have our things on and we can see all the opposition lineouts playing in front of us. That's where things are going to head at the top level. But I love that. Like a back coach said to me, when I'm teaching a new play where I want you to go then you, it might be the beat. And he has some, so they go off their beat. Who knows? It's just, and what's the worst thing? What's the worst thing can happen?
You are on the edge of human knowledge. You are. Yeah. Very good.
Well, I'm a simple man. Next. What else someone learned?
A few other comments in the chat and some questions. So I'll go through those. Not constraining yourself to a series of activities, focusing on the output and achieving the skill. The use of photos, having your priorities and nice to haves that practice. Adding skills from other sports into rugby, everything is relatable or can be relatable. Coaching is observation, visual feedback, not skipping the building blocks, simple solutions like beer crates. And then I've got question for you was great learning from the session was focusing on one or two key elements rather than watching the clock. So the time, but curious how quick you and your coaches are to correct versus allowing the players to figure things out on their own.
Yeah, that's a great question.
I've got another one for you.
For me, I'll give you an example. The other day I was coaching a high school team and I had two cameras set up. I teach a skill, 1v1 skill. Go away, have a play. When you think you've nailed it, come to either that cone or that cone. There's a camera on you going back to a delayed footage on computers. Got all the other coaches to keep away from them. Give them a wee bit of learning time. Give them space. So I want peer coaching. I want as well. So they go to a little activity, then they go and have a look, have a discussion, and then they come back out. You see them go and practice down the far end. When they're ready, they come back to the cone again. They go and have a look again. And I said, if you've nailed it, go and sit down and have a rest. Now, to me, that is such a growth environment for a youngster to be involved in without coaches over their shoulder pointing and they're getting that self-learning. Now, I'm there. If you put your hand up and say, Chrono, we're buggered here, I'll come over straight away and help you. Not a problem. But I'm going to stand off and just let you have a wee play to start with. I think if we can find that wee play time, imagine the in-depth learning those two players got from doing an activity, going to have a look without any coach near them, looking deep into the footage, having a discussion, going back, practicing, we're ready again, come to the cone. To me, that's growth. Now, at international level, it might be, have a quick look at that video, what are you seeing? Or, what'd you do with your right arm? Oh, yeah, correct. We would probably chip in a fraction quicker. But I think if you're coaching, which most of us are amateurs, I think if you just find a fraction more time, you'll get in-depth learning. Next one, Jocelyn.
Okay, this one is if you could reflect in summary on the culture of delivering brutal honesty, stepping into the danger zone or admitting that things are going to get a bit awkward and crunchy, but feedback is meant with honest, best intentions for the team. And this especially with respect to coach development.
So the best way of developing a good environment and being brutally honest is that when you do make a muck up as a coach, which we all do, we lead by example. Sorry, my bad. I have not instructed you very well on that skill activity at all. I apologise. It's why it's been a shambles. Now, come in and I'll do that in a different manner, which hopefully you'll understand a wee bit better. My apology. So I think by us being open and honest and being vulnerable, it helps then when a player goes, I found that when I was coaching the Black Ferns, it took them a wee while for them to put their hand up, my bad. Once they said my bad and we can fix it, our growth went up quickly, just by being honest, brutally honest. If I ask you to do 3 things in a game, surely you can get 2 right. But I'm asking you to do 100 things, 200 things. There's going to be mistakes. It's not a problem. Just own it. How can I help you? How can we work on it? So I think once that environment comes, that it's a safe environment, growth environment, and we are brutally honest with each other in a nice manner, polite manner, then you get growth. Did I cover that off, Jocelyn?
Yeah. I've got another comment around music, the use of music, and thinking about revisiting how we use music with our teams, music of different tempo and intensity. Great comment here from Jaden, probably our youngest member, says, involve me and I learn. I am 14 and I learn way better when I am involved than just talked at.
Smart boy. Well done, Jaden, because we all do, like being spoken to or being spoken at is one thing, but for me, I just give a wee bit and then let's go and have a play and come back in, and then we have an involvement, and then we can go away again. It's an involvement. We're all in it together. And what that does is I go back to my original statement. Learning is motivation. Motivation is enjoyment. Next.
Okay, last question I'll leave for you here. And while you're answering that, I'm going to put in the chat here for PD points. So those of you participating today, click the link, put in your name and your PD number, your NCCP number, and we'll get you some PD points for the session today. But the question is, what are the dangers of watching tier 1 teams or just higher level teams in general for us and trying to emulate what they are doing?
The big thing about coaching is know your audience. Who is standing in front of me? That's your biggest thing. Now, they're not professionals, so you can't expect them to be professionals. We can have a professional attitude. We don't have to be paid to be professional. We can be professional in being intentional. We can be professional in having the right sprig size for the game. We can be intentional of sometimes you got to fake it till you make it at trainings and try and focus in and get the best bang for my buck when I'm there. So for me, you're not trying to say, like I'm trying to make you a professional player, but you might say to a little high school team or a 12-year-old team, I saw the other day in an international game this back move, and I reckon we're good enough to do it. Let's look at it on the iPad here. What do you think? Yeah, let's go and give it a go. And off we go. So I think by doing that, that's a lot different to saying, well, you're not as good as them. So I think know who you're talking to, know who's standing in front of you, but don't underestimate. I tell you now, do not underestimate your athlete. If you give them the wee pathway and it's like a plant, it needs sun, it needs rain, and a bit of wind and a bit of fertilizer. And that's what we are. That's what we're putting on our players. And it doesn't matter what age, I know you can't clean out like you're not 130 kilos as a 12-year-old yet, but I can teach you how to clean out correctly in the strongest position and most effectively. So just know your audience.
Okay, well, we're going to move on, but if there's any other comments or questions, we can stick around at the end for a few minutes as well. For now,
you happy?
Yep. For now, we'll head to our club share and tell portion. So we've got, thanks, Mike. Today we've got Joe Bowley with us from the Fergus Highland Rugby Club. Joe has been involved in rugby since an early age, starting in the UK. When he emigrated to Canada some 20 years ago, he found the Fergus Highland Rugby Club. He jumped straight in and helped create the program that exists today. Having played, refereed, coached, and been on the executive in multiple positions, including a decade as club president, Joe is truly embedded in the fabric of the club. He has a love of youth development, and having recently stepped down from his role as president, is excited to be exploring new initiatives and even more ways to support and develop the club and its members. Joe, I'll pass it over to you to share with us.
Thank you very much, Jocelyn, and thank you for the invite to come and trying to follow Mike Cron is a big feat to do. So I'm not going to try and do that. I just want to really resonate some of the things that he brought up about club development that we found worked here in Fergus. And it's been great that I'm able to sit here and speak on behalf of what Fergus has done. And I feel like being a bit of a catalyst in that as a coach, that's how I felt over the last few years to bring on the club where we are today. It's really great to hear Mike talking about listening, being part, building those relationships, and then looking to others. And I feel that's what I've done and instilled in our executive to look at ourselves, to develop how we do things, and to have that difference, and to look at other organizations and learn from what they've done. So one of the biggest things that we talk about at Fergus is the Fergus family. And every member, be you a U6 or an old hog, one of the Highland old guys, you are a member, you are a family member of the club. So we have the same experience, and we try and develop and give each one of them their own separate experience on what audience they are, be them minis, youth, junior, or senior. So as we've developed over the last 20, 25 years, the club's in its 35th year. We started out as a team, and it's really good to see on the call today some of the founding members of Highland Rugby have joined here, who are associated with other clubs across Ontario. And it was the fortitude of those people that made Highland where we are today and gave us the good building blocks and the home in Fergus of what we've got. And to have a home and to have a building, have fields, it makes everybody belong to the Fergus Highland Rugby Club. To do that, you have to build relationships across all age groups, have a great team alongside you. Like Jocelyn said, I was president, lucky enough for a decade at the club. And still now, yes, I've stood down of being the president, but I feel like now I'm in a different role and looking to do different avenues of what the club can develop and really look at how we can take Fergus higher. But one of the things that we try and do at Highland to develop the club is not to overreach ourselves, set ourselves goals, give ourselves focus. The executive work really well to make sure that the players have great experiences, bring new people in, having new members. Parents are the great asset of a club in the youth area because they're willing to do anything for their children. As we all know, they can be the vein of our existence when we're trying to run a club, but they can be our best asset as well. And there's a lot of great parents out there. So one of the things we've tried to do is have benchmarks for each team. So if I'm a U18 or a U16 at Ireland, I know I'm going to be going on tour. So when I'm a U12 or a U14, I'm looking forward to meeting that role, to be able to deliver something and have that experience. With the seniors, we hope to have experience with them and have the social side and the family side of the club. So there are events for them to participate in. And it all wraps around the family of the parents and bringing those together. So we also try and bring tour insights in to make our family bigger. And our club has twinned with clubs across the globe. So we give experience to teams coming into Canada and teams going out of Canada as well, to go and experience that the rugby family across the globe. And when I emigrated 20 years ago, Fergus had the doors open for me to become a member. And like I said in my preamble, is that they welcomed me as a family member, and the rest was history. I was hooked. And I think that's where I look now at some of the people that I've built relationships across Ontario and across the globe. We are a big rugby family. So really, Jocelyn, I could talk for hours, and people know I can talk for hours. But for me, listening to Mike, and I wrote down some of the things that he said, was listening to the membership, listening to and setting yourself goals that you can achieve off the field as a club to support the coaching staff and the players and the athletes on the field, I think is a great thing for a club executive and a club builder like we all are, to do that. Not to overreach, to make sure that every player has a great experience, and make sure you look after your athletes. And as we've done that, our players and our athletes at Highland feel like they belong to a family. So it keeps that bond together. So that just gives us a 5-minute amble there, Jocelyn, about what we've done at Highland.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. Anyone have any questions for Joe?
Actually, Joe, quick question for you. Do you guys have a clubhouse now? Like, it's been a long time since I've been out there, like 30 years since my playing days, it feels like. How have you
Yeah.
guys developed your facilities?
So we, lucky enough, 20 years ago, we were able to build a relationship with the township. And we've got the field house on Victoria Park in Fergus. We have access to 3 fields now. And that's been a great relationship to build with the township. It's also put the club and change the focus, because it's right in the centre of Fergus, to being more of a community centre to the township. So we actually have got relationships with the soccer, some service clubs that use our facility, some fitness clubs. So it gives us a real good relationship, and that's where I feel Fergus is in a good state to have that relationship with the township, because we all struggle with fields availability and having a seat at a table for development. But that's one of the key things that I've always strive to do, is to keep that relationship with the township and our providers together. So yeah, we've got 4 changing rooms now. It's a good facility for the club.
It's amazing. Never looked forward to the drive from Ottawa to Fergus, but I wouldn't mind seeing what you've got out there now.
Always welcome, always welcome. And I know our U14s go to the Ottawa every year to play. I think it's Barhaven, I think they go to. I know there's a couple of teams that go to make sure that there's something for the U14s to look forward to. And then the 16s we take to the UK or Ireland.
Awesome.
So,
thanks, Joe.
We've got a question around activities that you run for players and families to build culture. Anything you do in the off season or sort of culture specific?
Yeah, I think that's a great point and a great question again, is we all know that multi-sport families disappear to hockey, to ringette, to basketball in the winter. So it's always the struggle. But we have seen a larger intake in rugby only families, looking at sevens. So we do a 4 sevens league. We also do a indoor touch league in the winter months, so January through to March, and we've hosted that now for, I think, around 10 seasons now, and that's really grown. The relationship has grown with university teams coming in. Guelph Rugby put a team in, so you see that cross organisation, because more people playing rugby and locally is better for all of us. So we've seen that. On the social side, having the clubhouse, it's not all about on field. So some of the things that we have done is built relationships with local gyms, CrossFit gyms, to give privileged membership to, so people at their own pleasure can go and do fitness online with those facilities when they're away at university. But also for the parents, we do host some social events, so that we always make fundraising fun. So we have a lot of social events for families to participate and bring the community together around the family of Highland. We've got a couple of bars where we host Six Nations, the international games. And I know that might be the norm in Toronto, where you can get rugby online. But up here in Fergus, it has been a big plus to get the social side of the sport out there, and people watching rugby and understanding it. So we've had a lot of non-rugby players asking about the sport and coming to watch it, getting excited about it, and then coming to watch us in the summer. So more support for the game and recognition for the sport.
Awesome. Well, Joe, there is another question here around tour as well, but with being after 9 o'clock already, I'm going to wrap us up. But I encourage you to reach out to Joe, and happy to make that connection if you want to chat tour or
with anybody. We're here to develop rugby. So the more rugby players is better for the sport.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself, Joe. That's what we're all about here. So. Kelly asked if you can put your email in the chat. I'm sure you're happy to do so, and happy to connect anyone as well. And same for Mike Cron. I'm not sure that I'll be passing out his email, although he might be fine with that too. But I do have his slides, as we mentioned, and I've looked through the line out and scrum stuff. There's some great pieces in there, so do take some time to look through that as well, which I'm sure most of you will. So just a big thank you to Mike, who's already left us, and Joe for taking the time to share with us tonight, helping us to develop clubs and coaches across the province, and to all of you. This is, I think, our biggest turnout. So big props to all of you for showing up tonight, for registering, for watching the recording if you're tuning in later. And if you're watching the recording and you're looking for those slides, email me. I'm happy to connect you with them. Great participation as always. So excited to see what the new season has in store. I've put our exit survey in the chat there, so if you don't mind, take a minute and fill that out for us. It helps us to kind of plan for future initiatives and continue to grow the series, and gives you an opportunity to reflect on some of your learnings today as well. A reminder that the recording will be available in the virtual portal and the slides as well. We'll email that out to let you know that it's available. And then they'll end up on our Rugby Ontario YouTube channel as well. So you'll be able to watch and share this and other sessions within your communities. So that said, watch for registration. We have one more, our 6th and final session in 2 weeks. Plus we're running a bonus lunch and learn session next Monday. So a lunch and learn will be with co-founders of International Mixed Ability Sport, running a virtual training and info session on mixed ability rugby. And our final club dev session is in 2 weeks, same time, Monday evening, and will feature Ellery Geddes from our marketing communications team, sharing the vision and process behind our club storytelling initiatives this year and how your club can be a part of it. So we hope to see you all there. Last piece I'll share with you here is just a reminder that we've got our rugby development consultants available for support. So I've just linked to our website page with info there. You can search it up if you're watching the recording. They have office hours spring, and we'll be back in the fall with those. They've got a community of practice pilot group going on this month, and just send them an email, reach out. They're happy to support and answer your questions and see how they can be involved to help grow the game as well. That's all I've got for us tonight.
So thank you, Jocelyn. This was a super awesome session. It really was.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Cheers. Bye for now.